The provincial government has recently introduced a couple of changes to the property transfer tax, PTT, framework for residential home purchasers. The government has recognized that property values have increased significantly, and this is an effort to improve affordability for those getting into the real estate market for the first time. Set to take effect April 1st, 2024, these are the first changes to the PTT framework since 2017. The first, for buyers of newly built property, raises the PTT exemption from a limit of $750,000 to $1.1 million, phasing out to fully payable at $1.15 million. So if you're buying a brand new property up to $1.1 million, you'll still be expected to pay the 5% GST, totaling to $55,000, but you'll thankfully save the $20,000 in PTT. Here in the Fraser Valley, this change will mean most new build condos and a decent percentage of townhomes are now exempt from the tax, unless they're quite large or high-end. New builds above 1.1 million will largely be detached homes. Now you might be saying, but Jordan, the average price of a new build has gone up substantially since April of 2017. You might even quote data showing that the average new build condo has increased in price by 52%, townhomes by 62%, or detached homes by 75% in that time. You might say that surely the government only increasing the PTT exemption limit by 47% doesn't go far enough to lessen the burden on consumers being saddled with the consequences of policy failures at all levels of government. And to that I'd say, you're funny. The second, adjusts the PTT exemption on resale properties for first-time buyers. Currently, the exemption limit is $500,000, phasing out completely at $525,000. This limit is being raised to $835,000. Sort of. Going forward, someone buying their first home will still pay property transfer tax on the value over $500,000 up to $835,000. But the first $500,000 is exempt, and you pay PTT on the balance between $500,000 and $835,000. If your purchase price exceeds $835,000 up to $860,000, there's a sliding scale. And if your purchase price is above $860,000, you pay the entirety of the PTT, even on the $500,000 and below. Does that seem unnecessarily confusing to you too, or is that just me? Ultimately, the exemption hasn't changed at all. Simply the qualification criteria to access the exemption has changed. That's not to say that there aren't savings for buyers, and I'll always celebrate paying less tax, but the way this is being framed as a revolutionary change to PTT and a large increase to exemptions is a little misleading. So let's say you've saved up and plan to buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom townhome in Surrey as your first home. They're currently trading on average about $770,000 in price, but let's use $750,000 for easy maths. Under the old scheme, you'd pay the entirety of the property transfer tax because it's over the $525,000 phase-out limit, totaling to $13,000 in tax. Under the new scheme, you'd only pay property transfer tax on the balance over $500,000, totaling to $5,000. So that's an $8,000 savings, a discount of 62%. If you saved up to buy a slightly nicer townhome in Surrey, I was going to use a 4-bedroom as an example, but there aren't any available under the threshold limit, and you picked it up for exactly $835,000, you'd pay property transfer tax on the amount over $500,000, totaling to $6,700. This would have been $14,700 under the old scheme, so it's a discount of 54%. Now you might be saying, but Jordan, the average price of a resale home has gone up substantially since April 2017. You might even quote data showing that the average condo has increased in price by 85%, townhomes by 74%, or detached homes by 57% in that time. You might say that surely the government only increasing the property transfer tax exemption criteria by 67% and providing a 50 to 60% discount doesn't go far enough to lessen the burden on consumers being saddled with the consequences of policy failures at all levels of government. And to that I'd say, you're funny. But that's just my opinion. What did I get wrong? Anything you'd like me to elaborate on? Would you have implemented these changes in a different way? I'm interested to hear from you, so fire away. And if you're looking to connect and chat about all things Fraser Valley real estate, whether that's buying, selling, or investing, give me a call. Thanks.